Remember, this show is PG-13, so you might hear a naughty word or two. Norbert's is having 15% off of handstand kick-up mats. Go to norberts.com for a 10% discount on anything with the code GymCastic. Norbert's is also giving away a $50 Norbert's gift card that can be used in anything on their online store. No minimum. Just follow Norbert's Athletic on Instagram and comment on the giveaway post. Also like the giveaway post. Good luck. It's Olympic trials week here in the United States. We have a full preview for you and updates on more Olympians named this week and countries who should be shamed for not sending their Olympian. It's June 24th, 2024, and welcome to the #1 gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. I'm Jessica, and I'm here with Spencer from the Balance Beam Situation. And let us begin by discussing the U.S. Olympic trials with a quiz, Spencer.
Oh, a quiz. Okay.
I have prepared a quiz for you.
I can't wait.
It's very tricky
ready.
Questions. I don't know how you'll do.
Okay. I'm locked in.
Play along at home. See how many you get right. Okay. In terms of the Olympic team selection procedure for women.
Got it.
Everything you've
They're
done.
So good. They're so detailed. I love them. I have no notes at all.
There's no room for interpretation on those. That's the most important thing. Everything you've done this season counts for team selection. So for the calendar gymnastics year, except what?
Okay, well, this is already a trick question because allegedly a bunch of competitions count, but we all know only trials counts. Camps are not taken into account for selection process.
And
it
is a trick question because NCAA competitions don't count.
Oh, that's not even the same rule.
That's why it was a trick question.
Okay, well, I did identify that it was a trick question right from the start.
You did right away.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of myself.
So allegedly, they say like, oh, international assignments, Winter Cup, American Classic, US Classic, Nationals, and trials are taken into account. All right.
Okay. This is a scenario.
Okay.
You get explosive diarrhea and your pet and your pet hamster goes missing the second day of trials. Can you petition onto the team?
If I am Simone Biles or Sky Blakely, yes.
So what you're saying is,
if you finished first or second all around at the U.S. National Championship, you are eligible to petition onto the Olympic team in the event of illness or extenuating circumstances. Illness, explosive diarrhea, extenuating circumstances. Theoretically, pet hamster goes missing, although I don't think that is serious enough to qualify as an extenuating circumstance.
How dare you?
If your hamster is missing, you need to get on that plane and go to trials.
Hamster guardians around the world are offended right now.
Fine.
Okay. In a rage of summer calf protection, a moose bites your butt as you're walking into warm-ups as trials. Because we're in Minnesota, there's obviously moose running around downtown.
So this is a moose calf, not a calf muscle, which is where I was when you started. I was like, you know how you have to protect your calf muscles in the summer. I was like, I don't know that that's a thing, but sure.
It's an adult moose protecting its calf because it's summertime and everybody knows you have to watch out for moose calves. So can you petition on the team for a moose bite?
Okay, so I'm going to say you cannot petition onto the team because of the butt injury, because you can't petition on for injury. But I would argue that a moose attack is a trauma that constitutes an extenuating circumstance, and my client deserves the opportunity to petition onto the team.
I think that will be rejected based on the no injury petitions and a little bite on your butt. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not that bad. It's not that traumatic. It was just it's not like it chased you for miles. Okay. All right, next scenario. Okay. Simone Biles finishes last on both days of trials. Can she still be selected for the Olympic team?
Yes. And
correct.
Should.
That's right.
There's one automatic spot. Everything else is discretionary criteria, which is nonsense.
Yeah, that is correct. That's how it should work. Okay, true or false section.
Okay.
There are 2 automatic Olympic team spots from trials.
False. 1. Top
Good job.
all around only.
Top all around. The procedure specifically says the team must be chosen by rank all around order.
False.
It even has a special section talking about how that's potentially not the way to pick a team. True or false? Qualifying at the Olympics are. Oh no, I didn't finish this question. What I want. I gotta figure out how to write it.
Oh, you were so prepared. You had scenarios. You had moose. You had diarrhea. I was like, Jessica
And
put a
all
lot
the
of work into
things.
this quiz, and then boom, fell apart.
It was going to be something about 3 up, 3 count, and the best scores for the team. But anyway, you guys know about that. So,
Olympic team is 5 members on the team, 4 up in qualification, 3 scores count, 3 up in team final, 3 scores count.
you can use any of the.
If that's what you would like to have communicated to the people.
That is.
Because we don't want to assume that everyone listening is like,
Yes.
watching every meet. It's the Olympics. Welcome. If you're just like, hey, it's the Olympics, I want to hear about trials.
Welcome. That is correct. Thank you. True. Okay. No one has ever fallen and made an Olympic team.
False. You
Going
have to
back-
fall at least once at trials.
Bonus, if you know this from our Tokyo Olympic trials preview. Going back how many years?
Oh, no, we did this, didn't we?
We did.
We went back and we consulted Uncle Tim.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait. Give me a second. Okay, so I know that we went back to 84 because we had a thing about who fell in 84.
Yep.
And then 80 doesn't count because the U.S. didn't send a team.
Uh,
And I don't know what happened in the 70s. So, 84?
40 years.
40 years?
For
Okay.
40 years of Olympic trials in the United States, every team has had a person on it that fell at Olympic trials.
Yeah.
So do not be aggrieved if your favorite falls.
Depending on who it is. If Simone falls, no one cares. It's fine.
So yeah. Okay. There are 7 people on an Olympic team.
False. That was 1996.
Oh, how many are it now?
5.
Okay.
But 2 traveling alternates. So your trick question could still be alive because you could say, well, the U.S. considers alternates part of the Olympic team. Then you could say there are 9 members of the Olympic team.
You're doing very well on this quiz.
Thank you.
Last question. True or false? USA Gymnastics does not have an appeals process.
Okay, well, as we've learned this week, this is also a trick question because USAG would like everyone to know that they do have a grievance process. I have questions about the logistics of whether that would actually practically work for a U.S. women's Olympic team. As we discussed on Behind the Scenes this week, if you're naming the team publicly on TV right at the conclusion of the competition,
right?
Do you have time to get through an appeals process, a grievance process? What's logistically, how is this actually working, and could it, or is that just something you have to have?
So we have talked about how places like Canada, they already know the Olympic team, but they are going through their appeals process. And so they don't announce the team until after that 2-week period. The British do the same thing. And we talked about how there is a built-in timeline for grievances. USA Gymnastics also has this, that all the USOPC sports have to have it because of the Ted Stevens Act. And there is an exigent circumstances clause, so you can have a speedier trial, if you will. But in general, it's 14 days to a hearing, 30 days to a decision is the longest they have to do it. And they can speed it up and do it faster for something like an Olympic team. But it is our stance is that it is a chilling process on athletes believing and people believing in the system when it's so public. Any change in the team would be so public, and they potentially could be delayed too late to make a real change on the team. So if it was something that said for Olympic trials, it's 24 hours, this has to be, the team isn't named for 24 hours or something like that, at least to go through a grievance process. Because that's how speedy, if they still want to announce it on TV, that's what we'd like. I mean, 2 weeks is better, but NBC won't go for that.
You gotta name the team on TV. Gotta
All
have
right.
a moment.
You did an excellent job on the quiz.
I did? Oh, thank
Yes.
you. Thank you.
You did very well.
I do like reading selection procedures. It's one of my very popular passions. You know how how you say, like, whenever I say, like, don't we love the selection procedures, it's a round of applause because everyone agrees. Everyone loves reading selection procedures just as much as I do.
Okay. Why do we keep talking about how even though the team shouldn't be chosen by rank all around order, and the only thing that matters is the highest 3 people on each event for team finals, why do we keep saying the default is going to be the all around standings at Olympic trials? That's how they're going to choose the team. Rank all around order.
Because of, we should go through because of precedent. So 2023 World Championships, team of 5. The team was the top 5 all around from the final competition, World Championships trials. 2022, same thing, team of 5, top 5 all around from Worlds trials. 2021 Worlds, team of 4, it was the top 4 all around from the World Championships trials. 2021 Olympic team of 4 plus 2 individuals. It was the top 4 all around from Olympic trials plus the 5th all around from Olympic trials plus Jay Carey, who was automatically pre-qualified as an individual.
Now,
So
2021 was a different selection group. Different people were on the selection committee, but
yes, I'm just saying this is the precedent of recent
But I'm
years.
just clarifying for people to be like, but that's, it is different people, but they have followed the same precedent, to Spencer's point.
So, as we talked about in Jessica's wonderful quiz, they are not required to go by the all-around order. They are allowed to / supposed to take other competitions into account, other things into account. The precedent from the last 4 major teams selected by the U.S. women's program is that it's going to be the all-around from the final selection competition, even if the highest scoring team is a different group of gymnasts. So that's why in previewing and talking about this team, we're going to default to whatever the all-around standings end up being from Worlds trials. Doesn't mean that's a guarantee that that's going to be the team. They have the leeway. They've talked about the puzzle pieces and fitting the puzzle pieces. But I think that's where at least where you're leaning with what the U.S. is going to do, is that they really, really, really want it to just be the all-around standings. And they would love if the highest scoring team was also the top 5 in the all-around. There's just, you would just have like Alicia would just like deep breath, relax, like melt into a chair. Like, thank God it's the same. We don't have to I don't have to get yelled at by any coaches.
We have a great article up on the website right now on gymcastic.com about how to pull the puzzle pieces and how to put things together, and it has graphs. So I firmly stand by there's never, ever a reason to just go by the rank all around order. You should always go by the
event finals.
The event finals, those are my favorite.
Jessica's strategy is maximizing medal total. So if that's individual medals, go for those, which is kind of what the British men are doing, I'm going to say.
Honestly, yes, which is smart. The team medal is just one medal. All the medals count. You could come out with many, many, many more medals. 2 on each event, in fact. So, why is going by the all-around standings potentially a bad thing to do?
So because the team final format is 3 gymnasts up on each of the 4 apparatuses for the women, and you have 5 members on the team, a gymnast who is top 3 in the country on vault and floor, but gets like a 0.5 on bars and beam would be great for a team, because you can put her up on vault and floor, and you only need 3 of the 5 people to get a score on bars and beam. So you just don't need that person on bars and beam. And it's great for a team. But that person's not going to place well in the all-around. So picking by the all-around standings would ignore that person and would lose, a top 3 score, a usable counting score on vault and floor. And we have seen that happen with the U.S. team in recent years, where they've not taken the highest scoring team and, left tenths on the table.
Yep. So let's talk about what's going to happen at trials. So they're going to be the first all around is automatically on the team.
Mm-hmm.
You win all around, you're automatically on the team. 5 on the team, 4 alternates, 2 go to France, 2 stay home.
Mm-hmm.
And as we mentioned, Simone Biles will be on the team no matter what, even if she finishes last, because that's accounted for in the selection procedures. And don't worry about her falling, because she's made an Olympic team before, counting a fall at the Olympic trials for Tokyo, where she also did a Biles dismount. Do you remember that? I had forgotten she did the beam Biles dismount at trials in 2021.
I had not forgotten that. Had I? I don't think so. It was always like it was still on the table at that point. Like, I'm going to do it, maybe. The issue with the beam Biles dismount, double tucked dismount off beam, is that it's really not worth enough to be in comparison to the 1 twist. The 2 twists is not worth enough to be worth the probable additional deductions.
And if you to remind everyone what happened, so Simone did this, debuted at Stuttgart Worlds, I think. Or the one before
that's when she got it named after her. That was the first international competition, and that's when it got an official value. And so it was official that the value was lower than maybe like Cecile Landy would have liked.
And there was a letter from Donatella, who is the women's technical committee head, who decides on the value of things. And basically the letter explaining why the value was so low compared to what everyone in the world thought it was going to get. And she said, well, it's dangerous and she might get hurt, which was a shocking newsflash for everyone in gymnastics, because no one had any idea you could get hurt in gymnastics. Brand new news. Okay.
I feel like it wasn't even about whether Simone might get hurt. It was like, it's dangerous, and a high value might encourage other people who aren't as good as Simone to try it, and then they'll get hurt.
Which was the whole reason the Protonova was devalued too, because people were trying it, gonna get hurt. But I was like, who's going to do that? You have to be nuts.
Well, gymnasts are nuts. You have to be nuts to do gymnastics. This is not normal behavior. Okay, so we're talking about Simone.
Yeah.
The lock for the Olympic team. Because the results from trials are so significant in terms of selecting a team, I'm going to say Simone's really the only person I feel comfortable giving the word lock to. I know there are a lot of discussions that this person's a lock, this person's a lock. Certainly there are some people who are more favorites than others, but Simone's the only person I feel like gets lock status.
I agree right now, just because, I mean, I feel like Shilese was a lock before, but we have to see. She pulled out of championships with a inflamed shoulder. So if she does her normal, she's also a lock. But right now, I just think, Simone, nothing has gone down since. None of her skills, none of her scores, none of her abilities. She's exactly where she was leading up to Tokyo.
Which brings me to a question, because I feel like those of us who've been following every year, all of the competitions are like, obviously Simone is a lock. If the last gymnastics you watched was the Tokyo Olympics, you might be going in here and saying, okay, well, why is Simone Biles a lock after the problem she had in Tokyo and withdrawing from the team final? Why is she a lock?
And my answer to that would be, what she has said is she doesn't miss her therapy appointments. She has changed everything she does in the lead up, and she has said no to many, many, many things, including doing a lot of interviews and talking to the media before competition. So I feel like she is preserving her mental space for herself, not letting other voices come in. And that is how she is maintaining a balance in her brain. Yeah.
I would say my answer to that question is she hasn't lost a competition since the Tokyo Olympics. Her average all-around score since Tokyo is a 58.741. That's higher than the peak score of any other gymnast in the world. That's why Simone is 100% lock for the U.S. Olympic team.
Oh, data. That's what you like to use?
She's earned it. It's not like she is a 100% lock for this team, not because of past accomplishments, not because of reputation, but because she's earned it with her scores right now. in 2023, in 2024, just at nationals. She has earned, like, even if she were brand new Simone Biles who turned senior in 2023, she would be a lock for this team because of what she's done right now in terms of earning a spot on the team.
So crushing the competition is your answer. Yeah, I accept that. Some of the before we talk about the favorites to make the team, we have some gym nerd updates for you.
Yes, we sure do. Okay, so this week, what? Jessica's laughing at me already. You can go to Minnesota. You get out of here. Okay, so this week, Olympic trials, Jessica's going to be in Minneapolis. We have 3 podcasts plus the live show planned. So Wednesday, after women's podium training, 5:45 p.m. Central, which is the time zone that the Olympic trials are in, is when we're aiming for. Live podcasts, it's always iffy. There are things that happen, transportation, interviews, athletes, all of that. But aiming for Wednesday, 5:45 Central after podium training, and then Friday, 9:45 Central after Women's Day 1 to break down what has changed. Have we added people to the locks category after the first day of competition, which we may very well / probably will do. Next, Saturday, 6:45 Central after the men's final, done men's competition, going to talk about the boys. And then Sunday, live show in Minneapolis, ticket required and sold out. So if you have a ticket to go in person, you already have it and you can go, and there will be a seat for you.
And if you don't have a ticket, you can still get a virtual ticket. So if you want to know our immediate reactions after the Olympic team is named, that's what we're going to do all together as a family on Sunday night. Please note that the doors are going to open around 10, but we're going to start the show roughly 40 minutes after the team is named. So 40 minutes. So that means you get plenty of time to, if you have tickets, you can hang out, watch the athletes run around, fanfare, things drop from the ceilings, people roll around in it. Enjoy yourself. Don't feel the need to rush to the live show. It's only 900 feet away from the arena. 40 minutes until the live show starts. Our wonderful team of volunteers will also be at the Olympic trials enjoying. So they're also going to be there hanging out, enjoying. So give yourself a little time to get over there. No need to rush. But when you get there, there's a little foyer outside of the ballroom where we're having the live show, and we have our own bar on our floor. So you have a bar just for you. Don't stay downstairs with the riffraff in the hotel bar. Go to the GymCastic bar.
Go to the GymCastic bar, get a tribute drink to whoever didn't make the team.
Don't pour it out on the ground. Drink it.
Well, I mean, if you want to pour it out, you could pour it out and then buy another one.
That's true. That. Please enjoy all of those. Okay, we also have live podcast coming up from the Olympic Games. I will be in Paris. GymCastic is the first and only, remains the first and only gymnastics podcast ever credentialed to be in an Olympic Games. So I will be there again. And I'll be watching every second of podium training, competition, all of it. I will be there. So I can tell you all the things you didn't see on the TV broadcast. And we're also having a virtual live show from Paris. The date will be Trampoline Day. That's when we're going to have it. We have an article on the website, How to Build an Olympic Team. Club Gym Nerd members, you have a new dossier coming to you. So it'll be in the newsletter, link for you to download it. Enjoy. And thanks to Daniel for putting that together. Fantasy game for trials is up on gymcastic.com now, so you can play. Merch, we have hats. Hats are available. If you're a visual listener, I am wearing one right now. You can get your Simone freaking Biles hat. 40% off sale ends today, Monday the 24th. So if you want to get one just in time, now's the time. And if you're trying to find your people, your fellow gym nerds, if you want to find people to hang out with, find people to go to the neighborhood with, it is Pride in Minneapolis this weekend. Tickets for trials, tickets for the Olympics in Paris, it's all in the forum. And also USA Gymnastics has amazing stuff happening. They're like taking over the city. They have all of these cool things happening in Minneapolis, including Swiss swinging rings team Tuesday. So if you can go, it's like Tuesday at 10 o'clock in the morning. So check out all the stuff that they're having. All right, Spencer.
Yes.
Let us talk about the other favorites.
Yes. we start that conversation with Shiley Jones.
Obviously.
She has proven herself to be the second best gymnast in the US right now. Worlds all-around bronze in 2023 behind Simone Gold and Rebecca Andrade silver. World all-around silver in 2022 behind Andrade. She has the second best US score this year behind Simone's scores with a 57.65 at US Classic. As Jessica mentioned before, the only reason she's not in lock category is that she rested her shoulder at US Nationals and did not compete, petitioned to compete at trials, and obviously that was accepted because it's Shiley's and she should be on the team. And that's the one big question we have about Shiley's. Is the shoulder okay? Is she able to do bars the way she can bars, which is her best event? That's the only thing I feel like that can keep her off the team. If the shoulder is limiting her enough that it becomes a problem that she can't do everything.
Yep. I also think that's the only reason. Shirley shows up, does her normal.
Yeah.
Which is it? She doesn't even have to be at her peak now. She is absolutely a lock for the team. Sky Blakely.
Yes. So, second all around at Nationals in the absence of Shiley Jones. Simone Biles was the champion. Sky Blakely, second all around. The big development for Sky Blakely this year has been the upgrading vault to a chung, which she did at Nationals from a Yurchenko double full. That adds 0.6 to her difficulty score and also gives her a second event that's definitely team final level for the US. She's had beam, that is her strongest event. Her beam is team final level. If she is hitting the chung as well as she did the first day of US Nationals, which was excellent, that's the second event that moves her way up ahead of others. And that's been particularly important for her. And so if she can stay on apparatuses like she did the first day of US Nationals, get a 57, you're on the team. As far as I'm concerned, that's on the team.
Yeah.
Big question we have about Sky, which we have talked about before, with beam, which remains, her strongest event. That's her signature event. This quad, 2022, 2023 into 2024, when you look at all her beam routines, her average score within the United States is a 14.033. Her average score outside of the United States on beam is a 12.920. And that's not really because of largely because of harsher scoring, harsher judging outside the US. It's because she's had a lot of falls that are bringing down the average on beam. So I think the big question is, even if she hits, can you take Sky Blakely with a beam in the team final in mind, given the hitting history?
That's my biggest question too. And I think, if she hits beam and does really well and is getting in the 14s here and does it through trials, she's proven herself. Everyone can change and show that they can hit beam. As Alicia Sacramone, who's one of the 3 selectors for the team, well knows. So I would say the other thing you can do is, you see how she's doing in camp, you see how she's doing in podium training at the Olympics. And then if she's still hitting, you put her up in qualification. And if there's a problem, then she doesn't have to compete in finals. That's where you can make a change. But there's more opportunities to show you can hit. And I think podium training is more of a qualifying meet to make the lineup for the US than people are aware of.
I agree.
Yeah.
My feeling is if you hit at trial, if you have the scores at trials, then that's what you earned it. And past fall, a fall at Worlds last year, shouldn't be taken into account.
Yep. And I also, if you guys are confused about the scores, and you're like, why is a 14 so much better than a 12.9? Besides, obviously 14 is higher.
Numbers, it's more.
Numbers, it's
If you don't know how to count to 15, Jessica has a podcast to help you.
It's not our podcast. But what's a good score? What's a medal worthy score? What kind of scores do you need to average to get, in the 56s, that kind of stuff? That we have an article, what do scores mean, on GymCastic.com too, so you can see where does it rank you. And also the gymternet.com has always the rankings, which we always link to in every single show notes. Sunisa Lee, the reigning all-around Olympic champion. Champion, Sunisa Lee.
Okay, so my question for, in the guise of someone who has not watched gymnastics since the last Olympics, why is Simone a 100% lock for the US Olympic team, but Olympic champion Sunisa Lee is not being talked about that way? Or should she be? Should she be talked about that way?
I feel like she should be talked about that way. But like, as far as I'm concerned right now, she's a lock. But the reason is because she has had 2 kidney diseases. She had one, and then through the process of them finding the first one, they discovered a second one. She has had treatment. She is now in full remission. Doctors told her she wouldn't be able to do gymnastics anymore. She'd never get back here, but she is, and she seems to be doing fine now, and is slowly building back her stamina and her hitting capacity. And we've seen that her gymnastics has not diminished. And she said at championship she was going to add her Nabieva Bahardwar, so the laid out, actual legit laid out Tkachev into a full twisting pack between the high bar and low bar, laid out full twist between the high bar to the low bar. And we've seen it. She's putting up videos of it on the social medias. So when her gymnastics is so good that her diminished minimum scores get her in the conversation for an Olympic team, once she adds a little bit more on floor and adds this into bars, like period, done, no question, she's on the team. Because you're going to put her on beam and bars.
To add any floor.
No, she doesn't really, because they're not going to use her in floor in a team final. But she said she's bored with it and she kind of wants to add more. It's a little, I feel like she's like, I'm an Olympic champion. It's kind of embarrassing not to do a double-double.
Got to keep yourself interested. Got to keep yourself excited. Yeah. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if Suni is hitting beam, she's probably already on the highest scoring team just for that. If she's, hitting bars and adding back the difficulty, regardless of what happens on vault and floor, it would be unconscionable to not put her on the Olympic team. I think my one big question for Suni is if she's inconsistent at trials on key events, like what if her beam is so difficult? There's always a risk that she's going to fall on beam because while she is very comfortable with this routine, it's an extremely difficult beam routine and there's always fall risks. If she falls on 1 out of 2 beam routines or has a little trouble on bars, will the selection committee have the ovaries to put her on the team because she makes up the highest scoring group? And she would because she's Suni, even if her all-around finish or the event standings aren't there because she fell on beam 1 out of the 2 days.
My feelings are they should. Will they? I think you have to earn your spot, but I feel like there is the benefit of the doubt to an Olympic champion. That person deserves, you believe in them, that given 1 more month, they'll be even better. And you have that conversation too. They have to disclose their health. They have to talk about stuff. That's all part of the conversation. And when they're picking a team. So I feel like there should be grace given to her. And I think they will. I think the selection committee will take that into account.
It doesn't
have to be perfect.
Because if Suni hits an amazing, gets a 14.8 on beam on day 1, and you're it's amazing, this is wonderful, you obviously need this, and then she falls on day 2 and gets a 12.9 or something, I don't want, I think you need to say, okay, that 14.8 is the score we need. I don't want that used to be well, she didn't place as well as someone who got, some 13s on beam, but hit both days. So that's what I'm worried. That's what I'm concerned about for Suni, because I think her position is more precarious because she needs those scores on the riskiest events in order to make her case. And if everything is very trials based, that makes me a little nervous, even though I think she should be it's Suni obviously on the team.
Yep. I think also one of the things to point out here is Suni has a history of hitting under the biggest pressure, where sometimes Sky hasn't had that history in the past, especially on beam. And I think that's what gives the Olympic champion grace to knowing she'll be where she needs to be. But I feel like Sky,
even though we were saying Sky's past history should not. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
We're very consistent with all of our feelings. It's fine. All right, let's talk about some of the contenders. Not necessarily favorites, but they're right there. It's basically the 5th spot is what we're I have no idea who's going to get the 5th spot, but we have some thoughts on this.
Yeah. Because if you were betting on the so my feeling is if you're betting on the most likely team right now, as we stand week of trials about to happen, Biles, Jones, Blakely, and Lee should be there. It's not a given. It's not a guarantee. Trial still has to happen. You still have to get scores and do routines, but that's the most likely scenario right now. And then we're talking about that 5th spot. So if we go through those top 4 and break down where they would, like what each of the events looks like with those 4 gymnasts, you have vault, pretty good, like not a problem. You would have Simone, obviously, Sky Blakely's Chung, which good potential, great the first day of nationals. Shilese Jones's Yurchenko double full, you have no problem putting that up in a team final. It's a great vault. You could potentially use another Chung. There are maybe opportunities to upgrade that lineup. It's something you keep in mind depending on how vault goes at trials. I don't think that's a big need. If you're like Simone's Yurchenko double pike or Chung, whatever, in the team final, Sky Blakely's Chung, Shilese Jones, Yurchenko double full, that's a great lineup. You're not saying no to that lineup.
What if they just competed a lineup of 3 Chungs? That was team finals. Chung.
That is not out of the question at all. That's especially because with Simone and the Yurchenko double pike, I feel like she's not going to compete that in every single phase of the competition. That's been the precedent last year. She'll throw in she'll just be like, today's just the Chung day, like in a team final, for instance. Depending on and it'll be, depending on how it's been going in training, depending on how comfortable she feels with it and all that. But yeah, absolutely, we could see 3 Chungs from the U.S. lineup. Bars. Done. Sunisa Lee, Shilese Jones, Simone Biles. That's the best 3 bars lineups the U.S. has. So that would be, you don't need more bars with them. And then like Sky Blakely, who has a good bars, it wouldn't outscore those 3, but if something happened, you're fine with it. You have that 4th routine, that's fine. Beam, I feel the same way. Biles, Lee, Blakely, that's an amazingly high-scoring U.S. beam lineup. And Shilese Jones is also very good on beam and has broken 14, and maybe is your choice also for the team final. You have 4 great routines already. And then you look at floor, and that's the event that needs the most work. Because you have Simone. Then second would be Shilese Jones, great on floor. Sometimes in the past has gotten in composition trouble at international meets in terms of what they're crediting. As her coach Sarah talked about on behind the scenes, how you put together a routine, what feedback they've gotten about things getting downgraded, and how what dance elements you go for based on the feedback you're getting about downgrades. And then after that, you still kind of need a third floor. Sky Blakely is very good on floor, had a good one second day of US Nationals, struggled on floor last year. It hasn't been super consistent. Suni, you kind of don't want to, she has a good solid 13. It's like good, you can use it in qualification if you want to. It's there, don't necessarily want to push it. So the team, that US team, you really want another good floor routine. And so that's the event I'm focusing on the most for the athletes we're about to talk about, is who is earning that spot. If you really are creating a team for highest scoring 3 up 3 count, who has the floor routine that you really want? Who earns that with, I am absolutely team final floor routine, which basically all of the realistic contenders are capable of doing. They're all good at floor.
This is the thing. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, so we got to talk about the forever alternate.
Well, okay, there are a few forever alternates, but
there are a few.
Most recently. Yeah.
So she was the alternate for the Olympic team.
So we're talking about Kayla DiCello, right?
Kayla DiCello.
Because we have a few Olympic, like we could be talking about Leanne as well.
Yeah. I know that's the thing. But yeah, alternate for the Olympic team and 2023 Worlds. But then went straight to South America and killed it at her meet there. So are people going to get amongst the list of people who are chasing the DiCello 56.85s, which is a really high, really good.
Really high. She's done that twice, 56.85 twice this year. We talked about the all-around scores. She's the all-around leader with peak scores among those who are the most realistic contenders for that we haven't talked about yet. But, counterpoint, her other 2 she has 4 all-around days this year that she's competed, 2 56.85s. The other 2 have been misses and would be not at the level that's going to make an Olympic team. So does she show up hitting lights out or not?
So then this brings us to the Olympians in the mix.
Oh, just some casual extra Olympians that we have to talk. Yeah.
Who's also right there. And if she hits on everything, Jordan Chiles. So she does not have the same all around scoring peak as the cello yet. And she's all her meets are much better. She has an almonar. She has an almonar. She almost never competes it.
That how many years has it been though? Can you say you have an almonar if it's been like 7 years since we've seen it?
Yeah, you know she just messes around with it, like they mess around with all that stuff in WCC. I'm sure she just like whips it out every once in a while to be like, "Yep, this is still here." I mean, has she ever needed it? I mean, is this the year she needs it to make the team? Does she need a score on her? I mean, vault I think is her easiest event to hit.
Well,
Does she need
her
it?
Yurchenko double full is like she's like, I don't have to think about this.
Yeah, she's like all easy on my feet.
Yeah,
pretty good every single time. Does she need to whip out something higher on vault?
I would say if I'm Jordan, I'm at least working on it. Also, let's talk about do you have a chung? Because that would be great if you could have a chung. Because her half twist, the Lopez, is finished very early to the point where I'm like, you're definitely training a chung, right?
I mean, that's what Sky
felt like that
for years. Sky was the same, except Sky's is so high. It's like beautiful. They're very different kinds of vaults, but both executed very well. But every year I was like, where is the chung? Where is the chung? Sky, are you going to do it? And then she did it for the first time ever on hard mats at championships. So like, I'm sure Jordan has done this at some point, but like, has it ever been worth it for her to do it? I don't know. The almonar.
I would, if she has the like, feels good about it, has an upgrade, I would lean toward the chung rather than the almonar. As like almonars are tough. And the history of U.S. women's gymnastics since the United States of Almonar tells you, it's not as easy as the 2012 team made you think it was. So yeah, I think that if she has it, yes. When else? When else are you going to pull this out? You've got to go for it. Because
I'm trying to remember if I ever have seen her do one. I mean, I'm sure we've seen her do one. I mean, because I'm thinking back to like when she was 12, putting up all those videos. She must have tried one at some point. But it seems like Sky, it's going to be easy to add. But I feel like she can be in the 56s easily. If
she could be in the 56s, if she hit everything with a Yurchenko double full, she would be in the 56s.
Right.
But it's, are you comfortable with that if DeCello can get like 3/10 higher than you in the all around?
Right.
So
I would want to go for everything. I would do
the thing
everything.
With Jordan on floor, though, even if we're not talking about vault, is she got that 14-1 on floor the second day of U.S. Nationals. That is, I want it. That's the third floor score we were talking about. That's the one I want. If it's really like that, and we really think she's getting credit for all of her dance elements. The issue is her other floor scores this year have been 13-3-5 and 12-7-5. Those are not high enough scores to be, I'm going to be a floor worker in a team final. She must hit floor. Jordan Chiles must hit floor both days of Olympic trials and needs to beat DeCello there. If we're talking about specific routines, specific scores, that's the thing. That's it for Jordan Chiles. And for Jade Carey.
Club Gym Nerd. Get discounts and first dibs on live show tickets and extra podcasts every week, athlete dossiers, code guides, commission your own segments of the show. It also makes a great gift. Check it out at GymCastic.com at the Join the Club tab.
Olympic floor champion, reigning Olympic floor champion Jade Carey, who put up a post on Instagram using Fact Checker's photo, by the way, which is very beautiful, said, trust the process. So in my fantasy mind, this was, she's going to bust out the triple twisting double and have like a Z value skill for 10 points and skill on floor. Probably not going to happen, but
I read that as saying we have a plan, which has always been the Carey family way. That was the Brian Carey motto when Jade qualified as an individual for the last Olympics. They were like, we looked at this system and we know that going as an individual for an event specialist is her best path. So that's the process. That's the plan we're going to go with. And I do feel like with the Careys, with Jade, there's always a plan. And I'm hoping that means like upgrading floor because I do think she needs it. She also is obviously Olympic champion on floor, capable of having a floor score that the U.S. would use in the team final at minimum. And if she upgrades the tumbling from nationals, which she's very capable of doing, because the tumbling at nationals was difficult, but not like Jade difficult. It's like extremely difficult, but Jade's like, I can do more. And I do think she needs that because she is the puzzle piece. When you look at the other gymnasts on this team, like theoretically heading into this process, you're like Simone 4 events, Charlize Jones 4 events, Suni bars and beam, and then you want a vault and floor. That's Jade. Like she is the on paper member of this team because her strengths complement everyone else exactly in the ways you want them to. But the scores on floor haven't been there yet. And she needs to get them there at Olympic trials. But I'm very much still considering her as a major contender for this team at minimum because of what she can do on floor and how helpful that would be in filling out the U.S. team. The concern for Jade is the recent emphasis on the all-around standings because a hit bars, a hit beam, they're still not going to be that high.
Yeah. Which is a repeat of the situation that led her to go for the individual spot for Tokyo, which worked out really well. So we in Brian Carey's system, we trust. There's going to be a plan. Let's talk about the world champions in the mix, Leanne Wong and Joss Robertson. Leanne Wong, let's start there. An alternate for the Tokyo Olympic team.
Been on
the last two world teams.
Mm-hmm.
And was a world all-around medalist.
The question I have is whether she can get a 56.
Yeah.
You know, if DiCello and Childs are hitting lights out, I think that's what's a challenge for Leanne because the execution is there. If this were the 10-0 system and everyone had 10-0 starts, she would be a lock for the team. But it's not. And I think that she's one who's going to need a little bit of help to get there and is trending more towards alternate position than team member position right now. But if she shows up and is like, I am comfortable, I have control of my own gymnastics, I talk to the judges myself, I make my routines myself, I am in charge of this, I know what I'm doing, and I've been to trials before, and everyone else has a freak out, that's the best case scenario for Leanne.
Yep.
She needs to make some bows in the shape of spiders and put them under the hotel room doors of her competitors. She would never do that. I think she should, though. Do some intimidation, freak everyone out a little bit. They have some misses, and she's like, I'm going to hit the all-around. Don't worry about it.
Joss Robertson, 2023 World Championship team, was injured. Yeah. Robertson, robbing your D scores. 2023 World Champion team, made the vault finals, had to withdraw with an injury.
Yeah.
Is she fully back?
That's my question. Because what happened last year made the World Championships team on great track. She made the team because basically she was fulfilling the Jade Carey spot better than Jade at that point. She was scoring better on vault and floor. Those were the events she did for the U.S. in qualification at Worlds. So far this year, and then she got injured at Worlds. So far this year, it's kind of switched back, and Jade Carey has been outscoring Joss Robertson in that role that they both fulfill. So we have not seen full strength Joss Robertson. She hasn't been quite at the level she was last year when she made the team. She's had a little bit more time since nationals. She has the difficulty on floor in the tumbling. She has the vaults that you need. If she's hitting them to a higher level than Jade Carey, then she gets into the mix. If she's not, I think we're looking at more of an alternate for her. But she's definitely in the alternate mix.
Yeah. Okay. The spoiling your bracket in fantasy gymnastics possibilities.
Yeah. All right.
Hesley and Tiana.
Let's talk about Hesley because she got 6th all around at nationals,
Yes, she's right there.
which is right there. Her bars and beam are her best events. Those can be 14s. The question for me for Hesley is there an event where you would use her? Like, say the top 4 all around are the 4 we expect. Simone first, Shiley Jones second, Suni bronze, Sky Blakely 4th. They all do great. We're like, all right, they're on the team. Done. And then Hesley gets 5th all around at trials. Realistic possibility, she was 6th at championships.
Yeah.
Would you even have an event where you would put her up in qualification? Or is that a scenario where you look at it and say, well, a Jade, a Jordan, a Kayla DiCello for their floor routine is like, obviously I would always I would never look at the all-around standings, but I'm talking you as the selection committee.
Yeah.
Would you do that? Or is she in the unfortunate, but like also amazing position of being a great alternate? And then you have that Olympic experience. And then you look forward to individual worlds 2025, all around champions, Hesley Rivera.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, I feel like I don't know. There's something in me. Maybe it's just because of Suni, and it's only going to be for Suni, that this selection committee is looking more towards the highest scoring team than just the rank order. And if she ends up in that position, I don't know though. Oh, I don't know.
I think what Hesley has done is, especially since US Classic, when she had a rough meet, is put herself in this conversation, which she was not really realistically in before. And her performance at US Nationals has forced everyone to say, this is a possibility. And that, I still think like alternate would be an amazing accomplishment and a great scenario for her moving forward. But you have to consider her as part of the mix because of how well she did in the all around at US Nationals.
I mean, Hesley and Tiana, the 2 most beautiful spoilers we could ever have on the team. These 2 just have such gorgeous gymnastics. And Tiana was 9th at championships, absolutely peaked, never looked better. She added her full twisting double layout, which she said, and Cecile also said, were just like confidence. And they're just so pretty. Like, that can be an ugly ass big D that you could throw out there. It can be really unattractive, but she does it with such great execution, which is what you want. If you're busting out a big D, you want to not be giving yourself a whole bunch of deductions to go with it that negate the D. So yeah, what do you think? Does she have a good shot at all around placement because of bars?
That's the question. That's what I would be worried about with Tiana, because bars is going to be a lower score.
Right.
And
even though she got up in the 13s, right? At this.
She can.
Right.
But it's like often like a 12-7 or something when she hits. And especially if the alternate spots are just like, all right, next in the list in the all around, I think it's always that's going to hurt her. Even though, dating back to like when she was the newest junior and we were like, give her a 20 on beam. The beam is there. And you mentioned the floor. She has those events. I think it's more trouble because bars makes it more of a struggle to have a high all-around ranking.
Who is in the just go out there and have the Amelia Hundley day of your life category?
Yes.
Be
our historical reference
happy.
point, the 2016 US Olympic trials, when it was still the MARTA era. And so the expectation was like, you should not like this. And it should be the only thing that mattered. Making the Olympic team should be the only thing that matters in your life. And then we saw Amelia Hundley, who qualified to trials in 2016, wasn't realistically in the mix to make the team, and was just like, I'm going to enjoy every second of this. I'm about to go to Florida, and I'm going to enjoy every second of that. And it was just a breath of fresh air compared to the typical of like, you are expected to be devastated if you don't make the team. We want to see the tears, and you are expected to lose it if you don't make this team. And, I would say like, others like Elizabeth Price set a precedent with her behavior as well when she was an alternate in 2012 of being like, actually, like making the Olympic team wasn't the most important thing in my life. I know you're not supposed to say that, but she's like, it wasn't like, oh my God, my life is over because I'm an Olympic alternate. And it was that same way. And I feel like the rest of the competitors in the competition are kind of the Amelia Hundleys.
I think this is the magic that was Amelia Hundley was the magic of realistic expectations. Are you realistically going to do this? What have your scores been? What has the history been? Can you actually, do you think you can get up there? You're going to be above a 56, right? Okay. You're going to be in a 56. Have you ever gotten a 56? Capable of getting 56? No? Okay. Enjoy yourself. You made it. It's just have a party. It's going to be so fun. There's going to be so many people there. This is the category. Zoe Malomo, 11th at trials. I love her gymnastics so much. Oh my God. I love watching her. I cannot tell you how much I love her gymnastics is so beautiful. She is an average height person, so 5'6"-ish. So wonderful to watch. Everything looks extra long, extra high. She's beautiful form. Enjoy her gymnastics. Did I say she was 11th at trials? She was 11th at championships. She has not yet competed at the trials. We're going there.
It'll happen soon. Yeah, and I would say, Simone Rose, also it's like, you made it to trials. If I were picking like the 16 who would make it to trials before this competition, I probably wouldn't have picked Simone Rose. I would have been more likely to pick her club teammate, Jayla Hang, actually. And so it's like, you made it. You did it. And you're a brand new senior. Enjoy it.
And one of the, I would say, top 10 most artistic, expressive, interesting floor routines. I love it. Just enjoy her floor. It's so great. It is the visual representation of our whole discussion that we had about the Italian horns and the evil eye. It's all composed in there in that routine. I feel like it's Medusa. So you really have to defend yourself.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
Yeah. Evelyn Lowe, 13th at championships, high 13s on beam. Enjoy her beam. Dulcie Kaler, 14th at championships. Beautiful gymnastics. Another one in the Hesley Tiana beautiful gymnastics category. Kalia Lincoln.
Okay, so what do we do with Kalia? Because I feel like at this point she currently defies category. Yes. Which is why we're talking about her at the end. Because I don't think she's necessarily in that like just enjoy trials, because we talk about needing a floor routine. She's the best one. She's the best one. Everybody.
The best one. This is the thing. I like, where do we even put her? For me, she's a favorite. She goes in the favorites category. If you're not going by rank all around order, because she gives you the high scoring team. She is currently on, even if you go by past or most recent results, on the highest scoring team.
Her floor can get her there. Is she healthy enough to be at her best at trials is my biggest question, because she had to withdraw from nationals in the middle of the competition. So that's my question. First of all, I'm concerned that we won't see the best possible Kalia Lincoln at trials, which she would need to be in order to get into the mix. I am concerned that what plagued her in suddenly not being at least an alternate on the world's team last year, or not being on the team, even though she was part of the highest scoring team, was that she didn't have the 4 event, she didn't have the all-around, she didn't have the bars, that they wanted to have backups on backups on backups. And so then Kayla DiCello was the alternate on the team instead of Kalia Lincoln, because they were like, Kayla DiCello can do anything, do 50 routines anytime we need her to. So those are questions I have for Kalia, and it's why I think she's, I guess maybe in the spoiler category with Hesley and Tiana is the most likely place to put her, because we haven't seen it this year. But if you are really looking at this team is a 4 favorites is already great and we need a floor routine, Kalia Lincoln's floor routine is the best one.
Yep. Period. I just have to keep going back to I'm not as worried about, as long as people hit the routines, I'm not really worried about what kind of nagging injuries or little things they have going on, because honestly, like, the selection committee and this high performance team, except Dan Baker, we don't count him, is is made up of Olympic and world champions who were strung together by tape and painkillers and their last, tendon hanging on by a string to achieve what they did. I mean, Chelsea Memel literally had to compete with a broken foot and do bars at the Olympics. It's like, I just think if you show that you can hit your routines, that none of that's going to matter. Like, yeah. This is a group who understands, is what I'm saying. Chelsea is not on the selection committee, but she's part of the high performance team. Alicia is part of the selection committee. Big thank you to Renan from Roda de Ginastica in Brazil, who was at the Brazilian Olympic trials and has a report for us.
Hi Jessica, hi GymCastic. My name is Renan. I am a co-host at Roda de Ginástica. We are a gymnastics podcast in Brazil. I had the chance to be at the latest Troféu Brasil. It was our last competition before Paris, so pretty much our trials, let's say like that. But not exactly like that. Just to give a context, in this meet, we don't have all around, we don't have team finals. It's pretty much a World Cup style. So Rebecca, she only competed, for example, bars and beam, right? And Flavia did only beam. Other gymnasts did more stuff. Rebecca, she is definitely for sure adding a second layout step out to her beam series, Aqua series. And she competed for the first time. It was really solid. She had a mistake on the air cartwheel, and she had a fall on that one in the finals, but she still won. Flavia, she is dealing with a shoulder injury. She's still treating, but she said that if she needed, she would have competed. I think it's the same as Shiley's did during nationals. She just spared herself, I think. She did floor normally. She only did a very watered down routine on beam, only 5.0 start value, but everything is in there. And Rebecca, she is reportedly training a new vault. She confirmed that she's training a new vault or vaults. Like, we still don't know. She's super secretive about it. Also her coach, Chico, I talked to him and he said, like, if she feels ready, if we feel like confident that she's going to be able to perform it in a high level at the Olympics, she is going to do it. And I asked her if she could give us some spoilers. She said, no. Guys, it has always been a surprise. Like the chunk, for example, right? Like, nobody knew about the chunk until she did important training. So she said, it has always been a surprise. I like to surprise the audience. I like to surprise the judges. I like to surprise everyone. So no, I'm not going to tell. But if I do it, if I perform it at the Olympics, you guys are going to have a heart attack. So guys, I think it is ready. And we'll be lucky if we see it. She didn't confirm which vote is it, but we do have some suspicions. But besides that, she's also training a whip double layout as a third pass on floor. She also has a Golden and a double wolf.
Andrade made the team. Flavia made the team. She has a back injury, so she wasn't doing all of her rings. Jaji Barbosa made the team. Jaji, that's how you say it. She made it with her.
We need Jaji Carey to show up to Olympic trials. That's the big question for me, for the US. Is it going to be Jade Carey or is it going to be Jaji Carey who shows up when it counts?
She did her Britney Spears video choreography floor routine. It's going to be wildly popular, guys. She executes so well. Britney's going to love it. Lorraine Oliveira also made it. And Julia
Suarez, yes.
She's Julia. Just Julia, she's like just Shannon.
I mean, I do feel like Brazilian soccer players, the gymnastics team, we're just doing one name.
Right.
We're just Rebecca, Flavia, Jaji, Lorraine, and Julia.
Yeah,
they don't need second names.
No.
And this was not a surprise in any way. This was the team. This was the world's team last year. This was the 5. This is yes, you're the team.
Yeah. Germany had their second Olympic trials, so their new little baby gymnast. She's like 16 or 17. So basically that's an infant for German Olympic
For the German
teams.
team. Yeah,
For the
they're like,
German
you're
team,
not 30 yet?
Yeah,
Wait
what are
your
you
turn.
doing? You don't have a master's degree and like 100 medals already? How did you do this? She is from the same gym as Elizabeth Seitz. Helen Kevrich won their trials and got the spot, the spot that went to Germany. And she also won the national championship all-around title. So the alternates are going to be Seitz and Karina Schönmeyer. Paulina Schaefer already had her spot. Paulina Schaefer, beam ninja, has every color medal on beam. She already had the nominee spot. Sarah Voss already had her spot for Germany, earned at Worlds. So I'm excited to see this little newbie. Also, Seitz's bars at her trials were so good. She's coming back from the Achilles. I just was like, she looks so good. But it makes sense. They're going to take their best all-arounder. Like, that's, that's
they did have
defendable.
they did give them that they had a system, which some countries don't have a system. He says with no pointed examples in mind at all. So at least there was a system.
Clear expectations and a system. So they went in knowing, which is when you have realistic expectations, again, you have less devastation, it turns out. There's also that German documentary that I mentioned. It's a 4-part series. It's coming out on ADR. And it's going to be on July 15th. It will be on ADR streaming. And then July 20th, they're going to air the first episode on regular ADR TV. So very excited to watch that. Speaking of which, Simone's documentary debuts on July 17th. So the right in the middle of this. It's ARD, not ADR. My God, why did you let me say welcome to the Living with a Dyslexia portion of the show. Thank you for playing.
It's very difficult when you're both the German expert and the dyslexia expert. They contradict each other, and then we don't know what to do.
And we have to talk about the New Zealand situation. So confirmed New Zealand is not using their Olympic spot for Isabella Brett, which she earned the Continental Championships, even though somehow New Zealand Gymnastics someone accepted the spot for the Olympic draw. They're not using it. And the Gymternet is reporting, Lauren over the Gymternet is reporting that the IOC will not allocate that spot. So there is basically one spot that's not being used. And I would stress to everyone that, like, this is New Zealand Gymnastics' fault. It is their fault. Like, yes, the IOC should reallocate and reallocate, and the FIG should have a system, all of that stuff. There should never be an empty spot. But this is New Zealand's fault squarely. And I feel like they, as a federation, should be punished without punishing the gymnast. Like, they should all be like, you don't get to make the decision. The decisions are now whoever wins these continentals automatically go, and you can't stop them. Like they had to do after all the debacles of Rio, where all those gymnasts that earned their spots were left off of their teams and their federations put other people in their spots. And they changed the rules, and then people didn't like it for individual qualifying, so now they're changed to a different system. But I just would like to see some kind of hard slap on the wrist that slaps them away from ever being able to make this kind of decision again. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah, because it's not just affecting, and this is why it goes beyond, I do think it goes beyond New Zealand, because it's not just affecting Isabella Brett, and it's not just affecting New Zealand gymnasts. You have an empty spot that, okay, New Zealand's not going to use it. Why wasn't this done in time, or why wasn't there a procedure that it could go to the next all-arounder from Worlds? So if I'm, next on the World Championships all-around list, if I'm Erica Pinkston from Belgium, I'm like, excuse me? I could have gotten an Olympic spot if you if you had a logical procedure, and I would be very angry if I were Erica Pinkston in particular. Among gymnasts who should be very angry about how all of this played out, like Zoya Sekai of Hungary,
and
Isabella Brett, and Courtney McGregor, who wasn't even given an opportunity to get the spot that didn't exist.
Oh my God.
The list of gymnasts who should be upset right now is really long, and it spans borders. Gymnastics controversy knows no national borders. It is universal.
That is true. We have a joyometer, a
Oh my
joyometer,
goodness.
if you will,
Okay.
from gold level Club Gym Nerd member Smanders, who
Mhm.
would like me to convey the following. Simone is a goddess, and so is Suni. No one in the world can come close to Simone. If you would like to commission a rage or joyometer, you can join Club Gym Nerd at the gold level at gymcastic.com and make us yell something in rage or joy that you would like. Even Spencer will do it sometimes. He's done it once. Look at that look. You did it one time. One time you did it. Only because you thoroughly agreed. Okay, we have to talk about the people are losing their minds. And I would like to remind everyone that this is why media literacy is so important. And if you don't have a librarian in your school teaching media literacy and how to spot AI, then now is a time to run for your school board and make sure it happens in your neighborhood. So LA 2028 has proposed new locations for certain events, like the softball. They want to have it in Oklahoma because apparently Oklahoma is a big softball place. Don't write me letters, you guys. I know there's some reason it's big. I just don't care that much to look. But anywhere you can fill up softball stadiums, I'm great with that. Do it. Very popular. So they've now proposed moving gymnastics to downtown LA where the big pro basketball team plays, which is great because it literally has public transportation goes bloop and you're right there.
Also, it's a much better arena.
Yeah, it's really
like this
nice.
is if you're not familiar with the different venues in Los Angeles, this is a big upgrade for gymnastics versus where it was going to be. Also, it's closer to me. So personally, I'm pro the move.
And it's also
this is also where the Simone tour, if you went to the Simone tour stop in LA, this is where
same one. It's also not too big for gymnastics. It's not like the O2 in London, which was way too big. The gymnasts were ants. That's too big. Okay, so this is the thing. Let's take a look at this. If you're a visual listener, we'll describe it for you. So this is, are there any clues to you that this is not a true laid out arena where they definitely were like, this is the architectural rendering?
This was a fun look because obviously they were just like, AI, what do you know about gymnastics arenas? And it was like, here's a picture of the London arena. We're going to put that in. And then they were like, here's our artist rendering of what the arena is going to look like. So it was just like, yes, here is the London arena, except the vault is they heard vaulting table and they were like, this is probably what that is, like a stool, right? The vault's a stool. Yeah, that's probably what it looks like.
It does look like a literal table, like an actual... Yeah. Like a Barbie set that you would put like drinks on, and the vault, the board is just a mat. Yeah, it's not. They're not. I don't think LA is stealing the London colors. They're gonna have their own.
I think AI learned some things from some images. Take these renderings seriously, but not literally.
Right.
Also, my favorite part of this, I think, is the area before the vault run that's just like an open spot of the podium where back there you can just I don't know why, but that is obviously Armene arguing with four officials. But I don't know why, but it's just that's 1000% what's happening right there. So I'm like, maybe this is realistic. Maybe this is solid. That's the only possible thing that's happening back there. Armene is like, the beam is crooked. I mean, brought my level, and the beam is crooked.
Besides Armony's giant evil eye, which I'm going to get one of those Italian horn necklaces. It says at the bottom of this picture, this rendering is for illustration purposes only. It's not intended to depict the actual use of the facility. It even says it, why it's important to read and read on. But besides Armony's giant evil eye, I love that she is checks all the equipment, double checks everything. Oh my God, it's my favorite thing about Armony. There is a chance that Lucas Dowser could miss the Paris Olympics. He made the German team, but now has an arm injury. So that would be.
Is Kensley okay?
No, I don't think so. Okay. Someone check on her. Wellness check on Kensley. Aisle 5. Lucas Dowser might be out. Update on Giga. So the Pro League is coming in 2025. So the Pro League is still on. It's in the works. 2025 is the target year, giving themselves more time to get ready. There's a great article by Will Graves in the AP about it. We'll put a link up in the show notes. The most upsetting news, you guys brace yourselves. If you're driving, pull over, hold your loved one. If you have a pet, now is the time to use all of their pet therapy powers. Ethora, getting ready for their Olympic trials in the Netherlands, did the most beautiful round off you've ever seen. It was a piece of art in itself, but it went sideways and one of her feet landed on the side of the beam instead of the top of the beam, and it broke bones in her foot. She is not going to need surgery, she said, just a good old-fashioned cast, but she's out for Paris, and it's
horrible.
I mean,
we dealt with this on behind the scenes emotionally, but let's bring it back.
It's like Paris was like, oh, Ethora is still doing gymnastics. Yes, we will host. This is how I feel about the importance of Ethora and her beautiful, unusual, unique style of gymnastics. More on that and behind the scenes. Simone's documentary is going to be on Netflix, so everyone's going to see this. If you haven't watched the first one, check it out on Netflix. But it will be dropping, as they say, on July 17th, the first 2 episodes, and we are going to do a live watch afterwards. We still haven't decided on the time yet.
A live watch?
Or not a live watch. We're going to do a live. We'll do a live post watch. We'll do it behind the scenes the day it drops at some point when you guys can join and ask questions and we can discuss it all together as a family. So sometime on July 17th, mark your calendars to watch that and then hop on and we will discuss. If you have any questions, comments, anything for us, send them to gymcastic@gmail.com, or you can also post them in the forum. I will see you guys at Olympic trials this week. Remember that if you're coming to the live show and you're getting a virtual ticket, we are a very, very small business, a business of exactly 3 people. So if you need to buy a virtual ticket or you have questions, do it now, because the night of, there is no one to help you. You've got to do it beforehand because we can help you with any questions you have. I mean, it's not that hard of a process, but if you have any struggles, now is the time to buy your virtual ticket. And if you're coming, remember, you got 40 minutes to slowly walk over after the team is announced, grab a drink, get your wristband, and everyone that has a ticket will have a seat. Remember to automatically subscribe and download on whatever podcast player you're using, because you guys, we're going to be on planes. You never know. Can I just give an example of this, Spencer? On my way to Texas, because freaking Texas weather, I was delayed for 19 hours and I had just downloaded, thank God, I had downloaded my new Audible book. I finally gave in and I'm reading those, I don't know, it's like fairies and the cross of something.
Sounds like it made a big impression.
I don't remember that. I mean, it entered the important thing about this, the Sarah Moss series. I read the first one, but here's the thing about it. It's like all the great fantasy stories like Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and all those mixed into one with more erotic scenes, I would say. Not a lot, but a decent amount for grown-ups. Because Lord of the Rings has nothing, let's be honest. The important thing, Spencer, that I'm telling you is I finished the whole book that one day. You know how long audio books are. And thank God I had it already downloaded, because who knows how I would have entertained myself had I not had that available to me. So let that be a lesson to everyone. Make sure.
The lesson is, if you see Jessica in an airport with headphones in, she is listening to erotic literature. That is 1000%. Fact checker would also like you to know that you are advertising people listening to audiobooks instead of our podcast.
Oh, that's right.
That you're actively unadvertising our podcast.
But you can't. We have thousands of hours. You could get stuck on an island for a year and you would not run out of our podcast to listen to. So download them all. And remember, you can put behind the scenes on your favorite podcast player too. Directions are in every single show note for that, or in the forum. And remember, you can get last chance to get your merch before trials. And there's a sale right now today on Monday the 24th. And we have hats now, which I am stylishly demonstrating for everyone. And do you have any more reminders for people, Spencer?
First show from trials Wednesday after women's podium training. We're going to see what upgrades people do, because there better be some.
Until then, take off on gay, split on rights, and we'll see you after women's podium training to discuss everything. Thanks for listening.